Hey guys, can you hear me? Man, I thought we were doing this real today. I was excited. I thought you guys were going to be here. Gosh, but it's good to see everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're really here to talk about the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. Obviously, with the campaign that we've been on of kicking the stigma, which is very important to us. And early May, from May 3rd to May 6th, we're going to have some really exciting fundraising things going on, which we're really excited about. And really, it's been a tremendous thing that we've been able to roll out and create some awareness in this country to really look at, again, that aspect of kicking the stigma. And I think, what it really comes down to, I think, is any fatal disease is difficult to deal with, whether it's cancer, mental health issues, what have you. The tough issue, I think, here is that we, as human beings, are making it harder on other human beings that are suffering. And a lot of times I think it's unintentional. Sometimes it's not even consciously, it's unconsciously, but that dynamic that exists where people are trying to get well, and there's just a theater and an atmosphere that is a negative situation to try to encourage people to seek help. And again, they're afraid, they're scared, they're lonely, they're outgunned, and they need support in a big way. And we've really tried to approach it from that aspect, because doing a lot of things, building buildings in the community that house treatment centers, et cetera, giving money to different causes. But I think a big part of it's been we really need to raise the awareness and try to reach people in their homes and reach people at that moment that they're at that point of suffering, and they may not make it or not, and maybe we get through to them. And we're excited to be part of this whole aspect, and really it's something that we really want. We've made a few first downs, but we're looking to play 4 quarters, 60 minutes. We want to continue on, not just through the months, but through the years, and trying to push this issue. I think it is relevant when it comes to insurance companies. People can't afford to get help. They mortgage their house to help their children that have eating disorders, what have you. I think at the same time, people try to get well, and all of a sudden, they're met with bad situations where they're being chased down like they're criminals, and they're not. They're sick people that need help. And so I know Kalen has done such a great job and going forward and pushing this thing along. And I'll say this, in this country, there's some activity there. Gary Sinise has done a lot with the Wounded Warriors and helping our troops, and they need a lot of help. So many areas of society need help. And after the pandemic, one thing for sure is that the situation is more dire than ever. And we're just out to get each person at a time. We don't want to leave anyone alone. We want to know that there's a path and a way to help. And it's been something that's been tremendous. I think Darius's involvement, and it's been incredible. He's able to, have a powerful message from such a strong individual to come out, and that's really what it's about. The stronger person shows that they're vulnerable. The stronger person cries. The stronger person talks about the difficult things that you talk about. And a lot of times in this country, you're taught to be buck up, don't talk about it, just grit it down, and that kills people. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Kalen, and let you say some things. Kalen's done, I won't just say it because she's my daughter, but she's done an incredible job and really driving this thing. And I know myself and her sisters and her mom are very proud of her, and we are, so I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Dad. And I think I would say the same back to him in the sense that I oversee our family giving strategy and community relations department and giving philosophy, and when we kind of came together to decide that we really wanted to pick something that was personal to our family and really meant so much to us and what we've gone through, we landed on this. But as we researched it more, we really saw the need prior to the pandemic. And really, I'm talking specifically to the state of Indiana. And but then you look overarching across the country, it's an issue. But it was heartbreaking to read the statistics and to see the amount of people struggling, and so many people really came forward, organizations that we spoke to, for example, MHA, which Kathy will speak after me, and really the biggest issue that they found, or to start with, was stigma, and breaking down that barrier. And so that's kind of how this all began. But my dad is really the one who really put some oomph behind it and really wanted to make this a national story. Not for us, like you said, we've never wanted to we've never been a family who wants to put our name or anything on, because it's not about who gets the credit. We always talk about it's amazing what can get done when you don't care who gets the credit. And I think that's how we've always been, but we've really seen the power in being able to utilize your brand and the power of the horseshoe to really, show your support of something that may be something that people aren't comfortable talking about, and really trying to normalize this conversation and realize that this does literally affect every single person, whether it's yourself or a friend or a family member, whoever, it affects everyone in one way, shape, or form. And so through this whole process, it's really been inspiring and just pushed us even more to continue to dedicate our time and resources to this cause. And we're not stopping anytime soon. It hopefully will be years and years to come that this is an initiative of ours, we hope. So we've been working on a lot since we started the PSAs in the fall to now, and we're so excited to finally kind of unveil our plans for our first fundraising event, which, as my dad said, will be May 3rd to May 6th. And we have some incredible content. A lot of our friends have come alongside us to have these conversations and have these difficult talks, and they're really inspiring, and I think that they're really going to make a huge impact. Earlier this week, we were able to film our panel, or round table, if you will, with Carson Daly from the Today Show, and some players from around the league, with our own Darius Leonard, of course, but it was Hayden Hurst, Solomon Thomas, Darren Waller, and the conversation was incredible. I can't wait for people to be able to see it, and that's just one of the many things we have planned. We have interviews with Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, Edgerrin James, people in the entertainment industry like Mike Epps, who have come alongside us on this journey, and really realizing that they want to talk about what they've seen, what they've gone through, what they know is going on, to make sure people know that it's okay to not be okay. And the incredible journey that we've been on is because of the amazing organizations that we've connected with. And we're really proud to highlight 4 in particular at this point, but will not be limited to, but Project Healthy Minds, MHA, which Kathy will be speaking in a second, like I said, NAMI, and Bring Change to Mind. But we really hope that this fundraising event and further fundraising will go toward these annual programs that we're starting with them, really focusing on specific areas like equitable access to treatment, and obviously increasing the amount of services available in the state of Indiana. But won't be limited to them, and we hope to even open up a potential grant program to really learn more about, nonprofits that are out there that need help and need support. You know, the funding is just not there that we would hope to see in a space that's so important and the need is so big. So we really hope that us kind of highlighting this really touches other people and increases the giving to these amazing organizations that are doing such great work.
And I was going to say,
Yeah.
it really has too, because just the awareness and people are yearning for this issue to be talked about. I know the great actor and director Peter Berg, I've had several conversations with him, Lone Survivor, many movies that he's done, and he has a keen interest in just how can I get involved, what can I do to make a difference, and so many people have called along those lines, in entertainment and places where they can raise more exposure. So I think that's been the great thing about the awareness campaign that's just spread to so many different areas.
Yeah, and we both, even from the start of the PSAs to now, we continually get letters and stories, and we read every single one of them. I want people to know that have sent those and shared their stories and been so vulnerable with us. It's something that truly, the beauty of strength and vulnerability. I personally find that my biggest strengths and our family's biggest strengths come through those moments that were the hardest for us. Of course, you wouldn't wish to do them again necessarily, but it made me who I am, and it made him who he is, and it made us who we are as people. And really trying not to shy away from that and really wearing that as a badge of honor. I got through this and I'm better for it. And I think, to his point, so many people have reached out, and it's been such a kismet experience in a way because, at the beginning of all of this, we had the idea of doing this panel to really showcase across the league, that this isn't just about us. This isn't just about the Colts. It's about everyone, and really trying to show that the best work gets done when everyone comes together. And I had thrown out the idea of Carson Daly because he has experienced anxiety himself and has really been open about that publicly. But I had no connection to him at the start of all this, and we've gotten so many fan letters, like I said, and there's a specific fan in particular, I won't use his full name because I didn't ask his permission to, but he's a local Indiana resident, grew up here, and just owns a local company, and he experienced depression throughout his life and is doing well now, but saw our ads and was so excited to see someone caring about this space that he, mentioned Project Healthy Minds to me, and I actually hadn't heard of it before. And I went and looked it up, and I ended up contacting the CEO of the nonprofit. And one thing led to another. Carson Daly had actually just recently connected with them and joined the board. So I am now on that board, and now have been that's how we got in contact. So really everything has been so naturally coming together, but it reminds me so much of the beauty of living in Indianapolis and how much we love this city. I think when it comes to causes and really getting things done for the greater good, there's no one who does it better.
Well, no really question. And sitting here, every single person we hear from matters to us. I mean, it's a beautiful April 14th spring day out there. 60 degrees, the flowers are out, the sun is out, but not to people that suffer from this affliction. It's dark and it's raining, and it's just an imposing darkness in the sky that they can't find a way around. I mean, that's the contrast that people that live with this illness that is so encompassing, and that's the reason it's so important to us to find a way to get to them, because it doesn't matter, how handsome you are, how much money you have, who you are, what the situation is in any way, shape, or form. When you suffer from this illness, we're all brought down to that real difficult aspect of why are we here? It's not making sense to me, and we want to reach those people because there is a solution. I think that's the key thing that people have to know, because the biggest thing mental illnesses make you feel there is no solution. Just forget about it. It's over. Well, that's not true, and that's why we're here, boots on the ground. Like Kalen said, every single person we try to reach in any possible way we can.
Yeah, and I want to give a chance for Kathy with MHA to speak a little bit to you all on the work that we are doing in connection with them and just the work that they do in general, because it really is incredible. So Kathy, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Kalen. I'm Kathy Boggs. I am a board member and past board chair of Mental Health America. I also have worked for the state of Indiana running the Division of Mental Health and Addiction. And I'm very excited and honored to be here with you today representing Mental Health America of Indiana for this announcement of the Kicking the Stigma fundraiser. The Colts and Irsay family's generosity toward MHAI and other mental health organizations is greatly appreciated. And I am thankful for how the Colts and the Irsays are tackling mental health stigma. As the more public the discussions are around mental health, the more it will be, as Kalen said, normalized and seen as one of just many health conditions someone may have. This campaign comes at such a critical time in Indiana as the number of people seeking mental health and addiction care is increasing, and more young people are struggling with their mental health. This illness does not discriminate. So MHAI, we focus on advocacy, education, and programming, and this campaign parallels the mission of MHAI. Our partnership with the Colts and the Irsay family will allow us to accomplish some key priorities around education and programming. Those being, we will be growing the mental health workforce in Indiana through trainings made available through Mental Health America of Indiana's Training Institute to practitioners around the state, as well as advocates, anyone interested in learning more about mental health and treatment available. In addition, the program will assist with making comprehensive treatment available to our clients, both those with insurance and those who have no ability to pay. So it will go a great distance in helping us meet the need here in Central Indiana. So on behalf of MHAI and the board and the staff, I want to thank the Colts and the Irsays for the great work that they do for the community and for MHAI. Indiana and its citizens will benefit from this initiative, and we will save lives because of it. So I thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. And I think with that, we're going to take a few questions, if anyone has any.
First up is Charlie Clifford.
Jim and Kalen, congrats on this great work. I think for every family out there, this is so relatable. So thanks for leading the charge. And I'm sure, Jim, nice knocking it out of the park with the music on the PSA. That was, I'm sure you were on that. Jim, I'm
have REM.
can rock out to that all day. 100 years down the road, your legacy in this city, it's going to be football, but it's also going to be this. How important is that to you that this is hand in hand with what you've done on the field?
Well, it's really important. I think the interesting thing is you get them inside the tent, you know, because they hear there's a great circus going on. But once they're in there, you have a chance really to deliver the message. And you know, I've always followed people, you know, going back to John Lennon and just so many people that have been impactful on society with wanting to change the world for the better. And to me, that's what it's always about. I mean, it's always about, again, how can you make the world a better place? And if you are involved in the business, in this case of entertainment, we're blessed to be the most watched and entertaining sport in the world. And with that, I'm just, you know, really excited that we can go at this area and really try to help and change the world and society. Because really, in 2021, it is still not where we need to be, nowhere close when we look at mental illnesses in our society. It's still not, it just hasn't, got into our DNA about really that it's the same thing as a regular physical illness. And that's understandable because there's a lot of differences that aren't really differences when the medical community looks at it. So, to me, it's really important that, again, the greater we do on the field, the more success. But to me, the horseshoe always has to be more than just football. It has to be about the community and making the community better, because I think that's the most noble endeavor you can pursue is making the world better. And I think, God blesses us, but we thank God by what we do with his blessings. How we go about changing the world, that's our gift back to God when he gives us, grace and blessings. And that's really important to me.
Next up, JJ.
Just for both Mr. Irsay and Kalen, I mean, first of all, just thanks for doing this. Everyone's been impacted in some way, shape, or form by mental illness. So I think this is a really neat initiative. But coming from a football team where, Mr. Irsay, you mentioned, hey, just buck up and, kind of get through it. Football's kind of that sport where, hey, you got to fight through it. For this to come from a football team, what kind of impact do you hope that can have on the mental health discussion?
Well, I think that it can be enormously impactful, because look at our guys are the toughest guys. They go on the field. The battles that they take on, because having played the game myself, I know how tough it is at the college level, not the pro level, and everyone sees the struggle that happens on the football field, and they see the virtues that are seen in these great players. And I think it's so, to me, important that we can say, hey, and I've seen it before in football. I've seen some of the toughest guys and come in the locker room, and an injury will happen to them, and they'll be just crying. I mean, just bawling tears, because they're so worried that their career could be threatened, that what they build their legacy on has been injured and maybe won't return, and that's a frightening place to be. And that's really similar to mental illnesses, no matter what one you're trying to deal with, because it really can paint that picture of gloom and doom, and to show vulnerability, to show those sorts of things in football. And it's really, as Kalen knows, so much part of the culture within our building with the Colts, about that closeness of teammates and how everyone has each other's back. And if someone's struggling, hey, we're all behind them, in every way, shape, or form. So I think it's really important. That's the reason I think in the commercial, Darius just knocks it out of the park with, the way he is, just the man that he is, and Pro Bowl, All-Pro linebacker, one of the toughest positions to play, if not in the NFL. And look what he's saying. It's all right not to be okay. I mean, and that's really what it's about. That it's like a line in Jackson Brown's song. Maybe people just ask you how you're doing, because it's easier than letting out how little they could care. Because it's not more like, hey man, how you doing? It's like, no, hey, really, how are you doing? Really, how are you doing? And I check in with some of our players from the past, and they always say, and sometimes you hear different things, and you try to really check down in there and say, hey, man to man, I mean, where are you at, brother? I mean, let's talk about this, because I'm here if you're in some dark hallways, and I think that's what this is about in such a big way.
Well, and I think it's also about, as we're all talking about, it's about total health. Mental health is health. I think it's like it's putting that out there, like mental health is health, health is mental health. And I think in the panel, once it is launched and everyone can see it, you'll see there's a big conversation around that and how it benefits them physically by working on their mental health. And I think it was Solomon Thomas who was talking about it in particular. You can only train so much, you can only do so many things physically, but he found such success in unlocking his mind and really found he had a better season once he started going to therapy, and things like that. So I think even just having really successful players talk about it in such a normal way, and the importance of it in such a normal way, really helps move the needle in this space.
Mike Chappell.
Yeah, Jim, I'm curious, with all that you've done, you and your family have done in Indy and elsewhere over the years, whether it's broken families or abuse or hunger or whatever, and you've touched on it a little bit, but why this? Is this because it touches everybody? Why is this the cause as opposed to something else?
I think because it touches everybody, and because, again, you have this dynamic where, this mental illnesses alone are very difficult, just like cancer, different physical illnesses. But when you bring in the components of the stigma, now you create sick people, and then you create the other people who aren't sick to be adversaries of them, to not help them, to in fact push them down and stigmatize them, judge them, and marginalize them. I mean, that's really a crazy dynamic. I mean, it doesn't happen with physical illnesses, in that way. It's someone sent me a card that said, when I had a back injury, I received flowers and candies and notes. When I had depression, 0, not one phone call, and that was a powerful little message that was being sent there. So to me, it's so important because it really, if you want to change the world, what happens is when that boiling point happens, we see it in society with these terrible events that occur, and we're going through that as a country now, and we wonder, gosh, how can we prevent them? But that's really where it's at, because we have to get to people that are suffering from mental illnesses to get them better, because if not, the ripple effect on the negative side, the carnage can be so great. But when you get people better, oftentimes they're going to want to go help others. That's a big component about being healthy and staying mentally healthy is you have to give it away. You have to be part of the solution. You have to want to seek out people, because just how tough it is staring at that 8 ball. I mean, it's a very difficult situation to be in. And right now, today, April 14th, as the sun shines in Indianapolis, there are people right now out there that are thinking about ending it. That's the reality. It's like, maybe today I can't take it anymore, and we have to get to them, because that's how, we can change all of society, including, I think, at an earlier age if possible, because that's so important, because the negative stuff spills off to negativity, but the positive stuff also sends those ripples out. So to me, Mike, it's so important that this cause, and again with the pandemic, it's just heightened things more than ever in this country and the world.
And I think too, just to add on, is that obviously our personal family ties, our individual experiences with this, and then our family and friends that we know have experienced anything tied to mental health, it's so many. But I think too, I have 2 little girls, and he's a grandpa to 9 beautiful babies, and we're looking at them thinking, what is the world going to be like when you're a little older? And the reality is, sadly, that the second leading cause of death in 10 to 34-year-olds is suicide. And that's horrifying as a mom. I mean, that makes me want to cry right now thinking about it. And so, whatever stat connects with you, they are all heartbreaking. And we just want to be a part of making those statistics change.
Okay, we got time for one or two more. Joel Erickson.
Has it been harder getting an initiative going when you can't do when you have to do things virtually? Get everybody in a room the way you would do.
Yes.
All this stuff?
Yes, but I think we've been lucky. There's been a lot of people before us that have been nice to lean on in terms of best practices, and people have been more than willing to share, things that worked for them, things that didn't work for them. Our platform that we're using is called One Cause, and that is kind of why we're doing a multi-day event. That was something that was recommended, and it's actually been really nice because we've been able to have such an outpour of support from our alumni, current players, like I said, influencers, that we are able to spread it out over multiple days and hopefully connect with people in different ways. But yes, it's definitely been difficult. It's very, we've been calling Zoom as like our theme of our fundraising event, because all of the videos, et cetera, pretty much all of them are over Zoom. But I think that just speaks to the amazing content and willingness we've been able to get, and amazing conversations we've been able to have, because even over this kind of awkward way of viewing something, it's still so impactful. So we can't wait to share it all with everyone.
And I'm an optimist always, so I think there's been some people that have said, hey, I'll do Zoom, I won't come in, I can't come into Indy, my schedule doesn't permit, but I'll do Zoom,
Yeah.
So in some ways there's been more people sometimes willing to participate, and
We want to be able to reach more people this way.
No
It's an interesting
question.
way to look at it, in that sense that we've kind of leaned into that silver lining of it, if you will, because even our small little section at the bottom of our website, when we started our PSAs to where you could donate, we weren't pushing people to donate, but it was there. We raised a little over $15,000 on that without even asking, and half of them were from not the state of Indiana, from everywhere, Florida,
and
Pennsylvania.
let me point out that Zoom isn't totally good for mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to get rid of this Zoom and get back, to hand slapping and hugging and seeing each other in person. Although Zoom's been good, to talk about during the pandemic, but this Zoom thing we can't get too used to, because I don't think it's good for any of us. People are meant to be together and share time together. So it's good we have it, though. I'll admit that during this time.
All right, this is our last question. Stephen Holder.
So what you're saying is you miss us, I get it.
We
do.
miss you guys.
I have a related question, actually, you set it up perfectly, because I was gonna ask, for either of you, or any of you, including Kathy, just how much has COVID and isolation and things of that nature that come with it, how much do you think that has impacted the problem, and, sort of made the need greater?
I think, obviously it has. I think the stats alone, I think Kathy can speak more to it probably than me off the cuff, but the stats alone, I know, are skyrocketed in every single area of mental health. I think people are more, I think the thing that I've heard and seen more of, and I think there is a silver lining to it, is that unfortunately a lot of people who've never experienced, I guess, what they would think as a mental health struggle are experiencing them now, or have in the last year. But in a way, I think it's been, the silver lining to it is that they're able to now understand it more, and connect with it. I think, talk about, personal experience being the, biggest driver in being passionate about something, and being connected to someone or to a cause because of something you've gone through, or you at least have been very closely tied to someone who has gone through it. So I think definitely, and maybe Kathy, you can speak to, some of the actual statistics.
What's been reported during the pandemic, 4 in 10 adults have been reporting symptoms of anxiety or depression, whereas before that was only 1 in 10 adults. So a 4-fold increase there. Another poll 1 in 5 Hoosiers have said that they're drinking more than they were before life changed because of the pandemic. So we're seeing an increase in anxiety, depression, drinking. Callers to the Indiana Be Well crisis hotline, they are reporting distress reactions to be loneliness and isolation, anxiety and fearfulness, as well as issues with sleep. And so all of those not only impact your mental health, but impact your physical health as well. So the pandemic has not done us well.
Well, no question. I think it's been incredible, Stephen. I think the human spirit's held up quite good, quite frankly, because, I mean, when you put, a pervasive fear on people and then isolate them and then, put additional economic strain on them, it's just crazy, just that, thank goodness we've held together pretty good, but it's been really tough. And I think, thank goodness we're moving past this time in 2021. And as we get to the summer and the fall, hopefully keep trucking and as we get into 2022, return to some normalcy, because it's been so hard on so many people, and it's gone on, for way longer than people were certainly hoping. So, well, before we shut it down, any football questions?
Well, you guys were pretty quiet in free agency, but I know that was by design.
Well, if you'd lend me some money, Stephen, I'll get out there.
You're talking to the wrong guy. But so how do you feel about the team and where it's at? I mean, it's largely the same team as last year. Does that make you feel good or optimistic, or how do you feel about that?
I really feel honestly that we're a better football team. Of course, potentially, because we haven't done anything yet. But I couldn't be more optimistic. I think with Carson Wentz coming in, it really, all indications are, he is ready to continue a special type of career. I really feel that way, and I know Coach Reich really feels that way. And I believe the playmakers that are around him, as well as defensively where we're at, and what Chris Ballard does with these drafts, we've all seen how special he is at drafting players who can come in and have an impact right away. So look at a lot of exciting things like, Marlon Mack coming back. I think that's quietly a big thing, if his health can be where we think it is, and of course T.Y.'s back, and I just think it's really it's going to be an outstanding year, and building in to the next 3 to 5, 6 years of a special time for us. I really feel that way. I'm not just being, everyone's optimistic, obviously, in April, but I think there's real reason to believe that. And I think, both the offensive and defensive lines are set up for excellence and performance, and I think can even get better. And so I couldn't be really more excited. I think it's going to be a great year, and the sky's the limit. I mean, we had a great year last year, but I think we can be one notch above. I really do.
All right, we'll take one more football question from chat.
I realize Chris kind of runs the personnel type of thing with your input. Can you get your left tackle and edge rusher in the draft, or is that a Justin Houston fallback type of thing? How do you see those two areas, playing out?
Well, I think we can, Mike. It's something where I feel confident the way Chris goes about it, that there can be an edge rusher and a left tackle and even a corner that's impactful, no question. mostly coming out of the draft, but you don't know as we're getting closer to rosters filling out, prices are coming down, and some guys are going to have to make some decisions about playing. I think it's it's something where it's difficult sometimes to come in and be impactful in all three of those positions, quite frankly, as a rookie, but it's certainly possible. I think one thing that we're really up against is realizing that, we want to get some extensions done, with the cap restriction that it's been at. We have to be very careful to watch the cap to make sure we manage it so we don't get in a bad situation a couple of years from now. But I really think that we can fill those positions. I really do. I think there's a lot of options there, and I just think there's a lot of special players on this football team and special character guys, and I really think we're ready to contend with anyone. I think we proved that in Buffalo, and I think we'll be a better football team than even in Buffalo in September.
Just quick follow-up. I mean, through your years, you've seen the value of an edge pass rusher or when you don't have that guy, correct?
No question. I mean, you have to create pressure on the quarterback in this league. I mean, we saw what happened in the Super Bowl. As great as Mahomes is, we saw what can happen when you lose both tackles and that sort of thing, as they did. And all of a sudden, a great player looks like they're really out there struggling. And so, we know defensively it's about getting pressure on the quarterback. You know that these guys in this league, if you let them play flag football and just sit back there and just throw the football all day, you're going to be in trouble. So there's no question about that. And I think, we have a special ability to get pressure inside as well with DeForest and several others. I like some of the guys we have right now. I think it's a talented group, and Justin could come back. There's a couple other options in free agency and certainly in the draft. And so the draft's your lifeline. That's what you really hope to do and going forward. And I think we'll have an excellent opportunity to see some starters come out of this draft as rookies. That's the way the league has to be now, because with the salary cap, it just demands that sometimes you bring in rookies that are going to start for you, and some can. They just have to have the right sort of football IQ right when they come in, I think, to start off quickly as a rookie.
All right.
Well, thank
you, Mr. Irsay. Thank you, Kalen, Kathy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for joining
everyone.
us.